between BVH construction time efficiency and ray tracing against it efficiency, as I see it. Now, speaking of AMD, they have some new hardware with reviews coming out today. This is their Ryzen AI 9 HX370. We're seeing some laptops getting tested. A lot of them seem to be ZenBooks, like the ZenBook 16. There's also a 13. Now, one thing that seems to be a bit confusing about these is that unlike previous AMD mobile hardware, they were a lot more clear about exactly what wattage it would be.
Ah, ça je voulais pas le 27 en multi, vraiment.
So you will need to probably research the specific laptop you're getting a bit more carefully to see what power profile it's running at. A really interesting thing I saw in the computer-based review, machine learning translated to English here, is that their performance profiles, based on 33 watt versus 28 watt, for example, in 3D Mark Steel Nomad Lite, the 28 watt is coming ahead of the profile, which is very interesting. Now, test. So in other things like 3D Mark or Royal, we're seeing the 33 watt ahead of the 28 watt like you would expect. But why would that be happening? Well, it could be due to the GPU and CPU fighting for the wattage and thermals. So perhaps in the higher powered mode here, it could have been seeing the CPU maybe taking too much from the GPU as it's moving higher. Like that. I don't know. Interesting. Something to keep your eye out for. But what is also interesting is that the 28 watt version is not only beating the 33 watt on the same laptop, it's beating the 54 watt Ryzen 9 3945HS, which is interesting. And then also, of course, beating the 42 watt and 37 watt versions of those. So there certainly does seem to be an efficiency increase here with better performance, while also doing it at a lower power profile. Although the overall performance is massive. Comparing the 28 watt to the 37 watt and the Ryzen 9 8945 HS, 15% performance increase. But again, it is doing it at a lower power level.
Pourquoi c'est qui prend tout le temps premier?
If you look at an actual game like Cyberpunk 2077, you can see again comparing the 33 watt to the 37 watt previous generation using like 5% higher frame rate, but again just doing it at a lower power target. They also show the HX370 laptop actually like 17 watts, which is there's a bunch of other reviews out there. Linus Tech Tips having the first ones out that I saw today with AMD's Match for One Anything. Ryzen AI 300 review. Here they're seeing good gaming performance in like Shadow. And again, especially good compared to like Qualcomm chips out there, which don't have gaming support. Also seeing Intel mobile chips. Also seeing Notebook Check with some reviews out there.
Ah, mais faut comme ça allonger, frère, ça y est, stop.
Again, are at the top of the ratings, not by a wide margin. So it's looking like the GPU performance and gaming performance on these new chips is better than previous generations, and also better than what we're getting from the ARM chips that recently launched, as well as better than what we're seeing from Intel competition in AMD's previous generation. And it's doing it with a lot of power efficiency, just the overall raw performance of the 33 watt laptops that we're getting reviews of.
Non, mais bon, ça se flash encore, vraiment.
I also looked at the non-tech, and again, if you want to look at like the CPU, like Cinebench scores and things like that, again, they are coming out on top, and again, they at the 28 watt setting here, beating things like the Ryzen 9 7940 HS rate 5 watts. So, it is certainly interesting that they're able to do that. But again, the overall performance jump isn't just absolutely massive or anything, but the efficiency does look pretty good, at least from what I'm seeing here. Now, one thing when you're looking at comparing these up against, for example, the Qualcomm competition with the ARM chips, one thing I've noticed, and I was reading some headlines about this too, is most of the Qualcomm laptop reviews weren't featuring top-tier Snapdragon X
Friendly
Elite
precision airstrike
processor.
inbound.
And as far as I can tell, it seems to be only one
grenade,
laptop with the top-end Snapdragon X Elite. So I was reading this article kind of talking about why at Laptop Mag, but a lot of it just appears to be, in the laptop form factor, you're really what you're targeting is the full laptop design experience, which a lot of times is based on battery life and efficiency of the system, and what's the efficiency curve, and perhaps the top-end performer for the Snapdragon X Elite isn't actually what you would maybe want in a laptop. But we'll have to wait and see if maybe we'll just get a later wave of more power. But anyway, one of the biggest stories lately in tech news has been the crashing Intel chips. And The Verge has issued a bunch of questions to Intel, and they have received answers, at least for some of their questions. But unfortunately, the answers may not be what you wanted to hear. So let's look at a couple direct quotes from them. I'm going to switch over to some sites that quoted that article, but with a nice darker background. Too many flashbangs for you guys. Anyway, so with all of these chips being having these issues, will Intel issue a recall? Short answer, no. Has Intel halted sales and or performed any channel inventory recalls while the update? No. Will Intel extend its warranty on these 13th and 14th cards, and for how long? Waiting for Intel to reply to that one, apparently. Given how difficult this issue was for Intel to pin down, what proof will customers need to share to obtain RMA? How long will Intel be? You guys hear the crickets?
Hostile UAV in the area.
No. Anyway, so
Non.
in other words, Intel has been saying a lot about how, reach out to them if you have issues, but they're awfully quiet on extending warranties, how easy it is to get an RMA. Now why would they maybe want to do a recall, or maybe should do a recall? Well, this is also from the same series of questions. How many chips does Intel estimate are likely to be irreversibly impacted by these issues? Well, here's the response from Intel.
Mais frère, mais ça y est, tu grenades là.
13th and 14th generation desktop processors with 65 watt or higher base power, including K, KF, KS, and 65 watt non-K variants. However, this does not mean that all processors listed are or will be impacted by the elevated voltage issues. Intel, wait a second. So Intel's saying basically every 13th and 14th gen chip, including 65 watt, we're not just talking the Ryzen 9 chips that seem to be exhibiting the issues now. So basically, almost any desktop chip you might have could be affected by the elevated voltage issues. However, this does not mean that all processors listed are or will be impacted by this. So Intel have no idea, really? And Intel continues validation to ensure that scenarios of instability reported to Intel regarding the 13th and 14th gen desktop addressed how exactly customers who are or have been experiencing
Plus écrit que tête, t'es devant moi, non, c'est une honte. Ouais, après j'ai pu jouer les kills. Après tu vois, j'ai joué les kills, après je mettais des frappes. J'ai claqué 4 frappes depuis le début de la game.
I'm just making sure we're all reading that clearly, okay? Additionally, if customers have experienced these instability symptoms on their 13th and or 14th gen desktop processors, but had RMA, return merchandise authorization requests, rejected, we asked if they reach out to Intel customer support for further assistance and remediation. So it's saying if you were denied before by us, reach out again. Notice they're not guaranteeing at any point that they'll actually, give you the RMA this time.
I get things too.
Maybe they
not
will.
For you.
But are they going to pause selling these chips while they're known to be defective? Nope.